episode 2 of the reSELLer files. I have Mr. CPA himself, Jared, with me. And tonight, hi, Jared. Tonight, I actually reached out to Jared to help me out with my business, and I definitely need help with the budget. So I thought it would be an awesome topic because I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Yeah. Seems like something everybody could use a little bit of.
Oh, yeah. My husband, home-wise, he's the budget man. He's the numbers guy. I like numbers. I really do. But I have no interest as far as when it comes to numbers at home. So he does all the numbers at home, does all the budgeting, and, he rattles off the numbers to me every month or pretty much every Saturday. He looks at numbers every Saturday.
Like, hey, this is where we're at for the week or the month or whatever, right?
Right, exactly. And I'm like, okay, all right. As long as he gives me cash at the beginning of the week to go spend, I'm okay.
Here's your allowance.
Exactly. So I'm good with that. But anyway, why don't you introduce yourself, Jared?
So my name is Jared Eliseo. I am a CPA. I have 12, 13 years experience at this point. I've worked in pretty much everything at this point. I've worked in the biggest accounting firms, corporate gigs, public companies, and now I run my own firm in Charlotte, North Carolina. And a lot of my client base, it's pretty diverse, pretty spread out. But I've kind of hit a niche here with the Amazon world and the reselling world. And so now I'm kind of finding myself helping everybody out online.
Yeah, and you do a little bit of reselling yourself too, which I think, being a reseller, I'm like, okay, this guy's awesome because, I can reach out to him and he'll understand when I say, that Amazon, statement is a little confusing. You'll get it, and you can look at it and explain it to me.
Right. Yeah.
So that's comforting.
I got the itch, I think, last summer, just hanging around a few Amazon resellers. I was like, you know what, let me go try this. Let me see what it's all about. And so I have just a little bit of a store out there, sell a few things, nothing crazy. It is pretty time consuming. So, but it's a good exposure, at least when, like you said, when people are asking questions, like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's comforting. It's comforting.
I mean, I do hear a lot, surprisingly, from other, new clients that come to me about other accountants and CPAs who just have no idea about it, how it works, what it is. And it seems bizarre to me. It's just for me, it seems pretty cut and dry. So I'm happy that I'm able to at least take that knowledge and explain it to other people.
Well, I do think it's cool that, you have a niche there. That's definitely awesome.
Yeah.
And you're getting, I know you're trusted by the community and all of that.
Yeah. I'm trying to help people out.
Absolutely. So. Well, I thought maybe you could start off with an introduction. I know when you and I talked on the phone last, you kind of went through about 4 or 5 things that resellers should think about, as they're entering the business, kind of like some foundation. So I thought maybe you don't have to go into detail, but just a quick overview of what those might be. Things like the inventory, the mileage, taxes.
Sure. And if I forget one, just, throw it out there and I'll speak about it. But I'd say first and foremost, if you're getting into this game, do yourself a huge favor and just go open a new bank account. And it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to go set up a business and everything. If you're just kind of like, I want to test the waters, I want to see what this is like, if it's for me, just run down to your bank, open a new account up. It can be a personal account to start with, and just let everything kind of live there. Let all of your, your Amazon transactions come through that account, and all of your expenses go out of that account. It's going to make your accounting a lot easier at the end of the year. And it also lets you kind of just take a glimpse at how well is my business doing. So that brings me into like the inventory itself. As you purchase goods for sale, you kind of have to find a way to keep track of how exactly all of this stuff is flowing. Did I sell it all? Is it still sitting in my house? Is it all at Amazon? Still sitting in the warehouse? So you have to find a system to keep track of what's where and how much did you pay for it. And you can't deduct it until you sell it. That's kind of the downside. So don't run out at the end of the year and buy a bunch of inventory, think you're going to get this tax write-off. Doesn't really work that way. So what was the other one? Mileage. Yeah, mileage is huge for resellers. It's probably as big as what you actually sell, because you're constantly outsourcing. So you're driving all over the city. A lot of resellers will take trips out of town. They'll drive to other cities in their region. Sometimes they're flying places. All of those expenses, you want to keep track of all of those expenses, but you also want to keep track of your mileage in particular, because that's going to get deducted on your taxes as well. And that's, at 58 cents a mile, if you're driving 10,000 miles, 20,000 miles a year, do the math. That's a pretty big tax deduction.
Absolutely. So, yeah. Just in a regular day of sourcing for me is between 50 to 60 miles. So that's huge when I'm out, 4 days a week right there.
Yeah.
One of the questions I had for you too, now, tolls, are you able to write those off above and beyond your mileage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. A toll, I believe a toll is just like I'm rolling through a toll booth. I'm about 99% confident that it's not cooked into that mileage rate. The mileage is really focused on the vehicle itself and just like, okay, it's the fuel and the maintenance and the wear and tear on the vehicle itself, not so much that would almost be equivalent to saying like the parking is rolled into the depreciation or the mileage rate, but it's really not. So parking, tolls, you should keep track of those separately even if you're taking mileage on your car.
Okay, good.
So what were the other couple? I can't remember when we talked last week.
I don't have my notes in front of me.
I know.
I have my notes over here. My notes are over here.
But those are good foundations.
Look at that. Look, see, I'm such a good student, Jared.
Yeah, you are very good. That's awesome. I think I have a Word doc half a page long.
Oh wait, no, are these the right ones?
But also,
nope, the wrong ones.
I think one of the items was kind of keeping track of expenses and your income as well. You can do that with just like a spreadsheet.
Yeah, the receipts.
Yes.
Expenses.
So, I think a lot of resellers start on the spreadsheet front. They're out buying things and they're creating all these spreadsheets. They make all the sense in the world to them. Of course, I receive them and I kind of look at them like, whoa, this is overkill, or this is French. Let's talk about it. But it's having something, and it has to make sense to you. And as long as you can explain it to your accountant, I think you'll be fine. I think you'll be able to work together with whoever's helping you do your taxes or, whatever. You'll be able to kind of engineer out what you need to get to for tax purposes. But it is important to find a way to keep track of everything. It doesn't mean you need to run out and buy QuickBooks. You don't need that on the first day. You don't need all these fancy software packages. You just need something. Google Sheets, pen and paper. I don't care. As long as you're keeping track of it. The worst thing you could do is end of the year
with the composition book. That was
perfect.
How I started.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. I have one client. They run a huge operation, and it's pen and paper. I swear.
I love pen and paper.
And it works. I'm like, okay, this is awesome. Like, I've got everything I need. I mean, now they've upgraded to Excel, but they were pen and paper probably for the first 3 years. And,
I'm very old school.
It works. It gets the job done. So have a system, have something in place, and then receipts. Yeah, I think that was the last one we talked about. Receipts, definitely. You need to keep track of your receipts. And you don't necessarily need to keep paper copies. You can. It's probably not a bad idea, but you can also take pictures, scan them, store them digitally. You're going to have thousands of receipts. You got to think about all the stores you go to. I have a lot of clients ask me, what do I do when the receipt is 4 feet long? All right, that's a little tricky. So maybe just hold that one as paper. You don't necessarily need to scan that one or those types. But receipts do fade over time. So there are services out there that will digitize receipts for you regardless of length and size or whatever. It would be worth looking into if you have a lot of receipts that come in like that.
Would those services organize those receipts too?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
I said, would those services organize those receipts too? Like, could I just
think they
bring them a
do.
bunch of
No,
receipts?
I think
Really?
they do. I mean, they're crazy expensive, but I think they will organize it. They send you like a nice PDF back when it's all
Maybe
done.
in a couple of years I can put that in my budget.
Right, maybe. when it's like doesn't matter.
When I'm
We need to get this
I'm the
done.
7-figure Amazon seller.
There you go. Perfect.
Girls got to have goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Budgeting and goals. That's how you're going to get there for sure. So I guess you want to jump into budgeting a little bit?
Yeah, definitely.
So, I look at budgeting and say, and I'm doing it right now for 2020 for my own business. And it's a little early. It's only.
Oh, real quick, before you jump too far, Thrifty Santa just asked a question here. Are you able to see the questions from where you are?
I just see private chat, so I don't.
Okay. Thrifty asked, when tracking mileage, do I need to record the start stop on the odometer reading, or is it okay just to record the number of miles traveled?
So I think there's probably two acceptable methods. If you're going to do, you can either do start stop on odometer for each trip. So pick a store. I'm going to Walmart. It's 5 miles away. Start odometer, stop odometer. I went to Walmart. This is why I went there and the date. Or you can do just the mileage traveled, but you'd have to put in the start address, not necessarily address, just starting point, ending point, so that you know where you're going. And that would probably solve the same purpose. So either one. There are apps too that will track your GPS and just kind of follow you around. You just swipe left, swipe right, and it categorizes it for you. I know we talked about that last week too.
Yeah, we did.
You're old school with the mileage, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I keep a log.
Yeah. So whatever you're most comfortable with, but you've got to have something in place. You certainly don't want to be those clients at the end of the year who are like, oh yeah, I went 10,000 miles. All right. Do you have a log? No, but if I need one, I'll make it. That's not great.
Right.
Well,
you're talking to a nurse who's like, so used to documenting everything. Yeah. document. If it's not documented, it didn't happen.
You didn't do it.
That was always what we said. Not documented, it didn't happen. See, Rusted Raccoon said here, wouldn't 90% of resellers be able to get max earned income credit and not have to pay in? Single reseller would have to make over $15,270 gross and $40,320 with one child, a roundabout not accurate. And then he says, think about it. How many normal resellers with 3 children are clearing over $55K a year on eBay? Just curious, looking at solds online. Sounds a bit sketchy, haha.
Well, the earned income tax credit, you can certainly manipulate a tax return. The earned income tax credit, not to get too deep into our off-topic here, is it's for lower income earners. So if you're making, we'll say between $20,000 and $40,000 and you have dependents, you typically qualify for something like this. But it's to go and, generate a tax return so that you get this credit or earn just enough money to get this credit. I don't know. It seems like it's a little questionable. That aside, not everybody's going to fall into the same criteria for the earned income tax credit. I have a lot of clients who they do this as a side hustle. So they have a full-time job, spouse has a full-time job, and then they're doing this on the side to make an extra $20,000, $30K a year. Gross income is well over $100,000, $150,000 for the year. There's no way they're going to qualify for the earned income tax credit. So everybody's kind of in a different position with this.
Then Rusted Raccoon clarified. He said Sketchy was making up a log sheet, LOL, not previous comments.
Wait, sorry, Sketchy what?
Because he had mentioned about something being sketchy, and it sounded like he was talking about the earned income. But yeah, he liked your answer. He said nice answer.
Okay. All right. What else? Anyone else have questions, comments?
Doesn't look like it at the moment.
All right.
So back to that boring subject of a budget.
Oh, blah, 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 right?
So, I know. It's like, oh, I have to make a budget. I don't want to.
Well, so you don't really, you don't have to. A lot of people don't do this, but, and you mentioned a kind of a key word earlier, goals, right? So we're going into 2020. I realize it's the end of August, second half August. 2020 will be here before you know it. You've got Q4 coming up for the resale community. Everyone's going to be busy. It'll be Thanksgiving before you know it. We'll be popping bottles for the new year, and it will be into 2020. And how do you know where your business is going to be next year if you really don't sit down and do any sort of forecasting or budget? And what are you going to do if the fearful recession that everyone keeps talking about hits? How are you prepared for that? So the only way you can really do yourself that big favor of being prepared is to sit down and say, okay, January through December, each month, look back at this year and say, this is what I did. This is what I want to do next year, but this is how I'm going to get there. These are the items I'm going to go sell. These are the items, the products I'm going to source. These are the costs that are really holding my business down. I'm spending money on these certain things that I don't really need anymore, or I need to spend more money on this type of service or product because it's helping my business grow. And that's where I want to focus my energy right now. So you can really only derive all of this by reviewing your information, what you have right now, your financial information for your business, and taking it and saying, this is where I want to go with it. If you want to be a $500,000 seller, you can't get there by just running out and buying everything off the shelf and selling. I mean, you can.
I was going to say you can.
You can, but it may not translate to bottom line. It may not translate to profit. That's the thing. You can be a $500,000 seller, $1 million seller, and walk away with, $40,000, $50,000. That's ridiculous. That's not a lot of money. So
I hear you.
You've got to go through this painful process of budgeting, and it's really just a matter of taking the 12 months of the year, creating a line for every single thing you have, all your income, all of your cost of goods sold, all of your expenses, and just figuring out where should I be each month? What do I really want to be spending on each of these types of expenses, these line items?
Real quick, you had mentioned in your budget video on your channel, online budget templates. Do you have any particular recommendations for a template that you prefer?
No, I don't. Okay. I'm a homegrown guy, so I geek out when it's like time to do this stuff. I crack into Excel and I just create a brand new spreadsheet for everything.
And I'm going, Excel.
Yeah, I know. You know what? Pad and paper works just the same. You just draw out the 12 months of the year, write down all of your expenses, and just start building it from there. Okay. But without having a roadmap, you're going to get lost. You're going to lose your way. But if you've got this plan, if you said, I want to make $500K next year, you're going to be looking at this every month. And if you're not hitting goals, you're going to start to think, what's going on? Did I overstretch myself? Or, I need to work harder. I need to get out there and pound it harder. I'm so close. I just need a little bit more here and I can get there. It's really, I think it's going to motivate you more than it's going to distract you.
Okay.
So I habitually review my business budget and my personal budgets, probably once every other week, twice a month, if you will. I'm looking just for trends, things that I need to kind of true up here and there, make sure that I'm on track for where I want to meet my financial goals. So.
Okay.
I don't know. Is that helpful? I hope
It
it's
is. It is.
helpful.
I'm just still trying to make my way through all the different numbers and where data is here and data there and
Right. And for you, so you have a lot of different you don't mind if I share what we discussed a little bit, do you?
I
Last
don't
week?
know what did we this which part.
No,
No,
about the
I
various
don't think I told you anything I wouldn't tell anybody else.
Okay. So you have a pretty wide spread of products that you
Oh
offer
yeah.
on Amazon.
Mhm.
And for you, it would probably take a lot of work because you're going to go and you're going to say, I sell all these different types of products. So rather than say I'm selling these different types of products, now I want to make them categories. You know, and I'll just rattle off categories. These aren't specific to you, but video games and clothing and food items and I don't know, home cleaning supplies. I mean, pick it, makeup, whatever it is that you're selling. You've got your categories. Maybe not drilling down to the specific SKU, but you want to figure out, okay, I'm spending this much each month on this type of product. I'm spending this much each month on this type of product. But how is that translating to sales? Am I breaking even on this? Do I think
Mhm.
I'm making money, or am I really making money, or am I losing money? A lot of people really, their goal is I'm going to go out and buy anything I can make $1 on, and then they throw it into the Amazon system, and I feel like it goes into a black hole. It just converts to dollars. They get excited, and then they go out and they buy more stuff, and that's great. That's a great model, right? That's how you make money. But how do you really know what you're sending into Amazon? How do you know that if you're sending all these different stuff to Amazon, how do you know that everything is actually making you a profit?
I actually, you know what I do?
Hmm.
I go order by order and figure out what my profit is,
Jeez.
just to make sure that I'm still above water. Not above water, but actually
How,
making a profit. And then I
how
look
long
at
does
my day's sales and then figure out how much ROI I made.
how long does that take you to do?
According to my husband, it takes too much time.
I mean, you're going to every line item. That's
I
a lot
know,
of
it's
work.
crazy. I don't know how else to do it right now.
I mean, you could probably automate that in some way.
I
But
know, I'm sure. I'm sure.
all right, so you've done it. You've done it. You've done this on the most detailed level that anyone could possibly do this on.
I have.
And have you
And
ever
I'm
lost
making some money.
money? Have you
Yes,
ever lost money?
I have. Like I have one item actually that just sold and I lost like 99 cents on it. But that's because the competitor at that particular price has some ridiculous amount, like 600.
So there was
So,
never there's not yet been a time where you've sent in anything where you're like, oh, this is a grand slam. I'm definitely going to make money. And then turn around and realize made very little, nothing, not
oh
as much.
yeah, sure. Of course. But I
And
know that
so,
because of doing my numbers.
right. But now you're taking this actual information. You're taking what you just learned by going through your information,
Mhm.
and you can go and create a budget or a forecast and say, okay, I thought I really nailed it out of the park with this. I'm not going to buy this anymore.
Right.
But I see this other item, reverse is true. I I bought it. I thought I was only going to make $1, $2. Grand slam, killing it with this thing. Let me
Mhm.
switch. Let me move these things around and go out and buy more of that item so that I can make more money. And now I know where to concentrate my efforts.
Right.
This is how you're
That's
going to kind
what
of
I've been doing.
yeah, you're going to kind of narrow in your focus a little bit,
Yeah.
but you need to be able to go through this budgeting process. I think I think it goes hand in hand. You have the actual results, and it's going to help you plan for your future, plan for the next step.
Yes. Sorry, I got distracted. I was reading Rusted Raccoon. Let me see. Hold on real quick. He said he has a question. He said, I had a question to me on Facebook. I am battling my answer feedback between the investment approach and Dave Ramsey approach on answering. Your opinion, you are a numbers guy. And the question is, she owes $9,500 on her car at 3.6% and $19,000 on investment property at 6%. She has 22,000 cash. But her business is buying and reselling, so likes to have money available. Which should she pay off, if any?
Well, I mean, conservatively, I'd say, just so the debt. How much of the debt's again? I know she has 22 in cash. She has
$9,500 on her car, and it's at 3.6%. 19,000 on investment property at 6%.
Investment property, so that's probably a rental. You could probably knock out.
Can I give an answer?
Yeah, you can give
see if it matches yours.
You go first. I mean,
I would pay off the higher percentage first. What would you
do? Yeah, probably the 19.
Awesome.
My husband
will be proud of me.
I'd probably pay off. I mean, Dave Ramsey wouldn't agree. He'd say pay off the smaller amount, but I also think that he would say, it doesn't matter. Pay off the 19. I'd probably keep 3 back in my pocket and maybe use that to source with. And that's the other thing too. Budgeting, I think will help you keep yourself out of hot water with getting too far into debt, because I see a lot of people borrowing a lot of money to do this.
Yes, I agree.
And that is very dangerous. It's very slippery. They get this rush off of, I've got $100K on credit cards and I'm paying it off every month and I'm getting all the points, and that's great. I mean, good for you. But if there's just one chink in the armor, it could be game over for you. You could just be paying out the nose and interest on that. So, not to mention you have to pay the money back. So,
you do?
Yeah, you do. You don't just give it to you and say, "Have a nice day."
Darn.
Are you kidding me? I wouldn't be here right now if that were the case. Be opening every credit card I could. Yeah. So credit's a slippery slope, but anyway, that's my answer to that question. I would pay off the 19. Who is it? Rusted Raccoon?
Yeah.
What does he say? What does he think?
He said exactly, LOL.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay. Rusted said, I like this guy. My option was pay off the 15K and put 3K back to source with. That's what you had said, something similar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep the car loan at 3.6%. You have money working in money market higher than 3.6%.
Yeah, possibly.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that's great though, having that little bit of debt. I mean, that doesn't seem like a lot compared to what a lot of people have.
Yeah. So, that's awesome.
So what other questions do you have for me?
I think that's it for now. I think you answered most of it.
Oh, did I? Okay.
Yes.
I know it's the budgeting thing. It's an interesting concept, an interesting topic. I just like to get the juices flowing, get the thought in people's head.
I think I think I'll be fine once I sit down with pen and paper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. I have it because I have it up in my brain.
Yeah.
What my expenses are every month, and I know once my expenses are paid, I know what I'm left with for the month for sourcing. I just have to put it on paper. And I like what you were talking about as far as, it helps you drive your goals.
Give me one of your goals for next year, if you've already thought about it or not thought about it.
Like a financial goal?
Yeah, sure.
I don't have a particular financial goal. Because remember, I've only been on Amazon for a year or for 6 months and reselling for a year.
Why are you doing all this?
Why am I doing all this?
Yeah.
Well, like I said before, if I don't, then I might have to go back to my old job, which I don't want to have to do.
I
So
mean,
it's gotta work.
so it's income replacement.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a very PC way to put it, income
No, I mean,
replacement.
hey, you have everyone's got different things. I got people call me up that say, I'm doing this so I can buy a car. I'm doing this to pay off my second home.
This is my career.
So that's a perfect answer. That's fine.
This is
And
my career.
don't you think that you went to nursing school, right? You
Yeah,
worked hard. With RN, NP, where'd you get
RN.
in the whole? Okay. So you went through all that pain and struggle. You put a lot of time and effort into that because that meant a lot to you at the time, and it was important to you to have the credentials and to have the understanding. This is no different. This is not just like I'm just gonna open my storefront and just sell everything I can and no big deal. I hope I make money. No, it can't be like that, because when you take it that kind of waywardly, that's when I think you're leaving yourself exposed for a lot of risk. So if you sit down and take it seriously, and you really, and I know you do take it seriously, but if you sit down and you're deliberate with what you're trying to do,
Yeah, I need to be more deliberate. Yes.
you just have you're intentional. That's a better word. Be intentional with why you're doing this and what you're doing about it. Because you know that if this doesn't work, you have to go back to nursing. And so that should scare the life out of you. Like, I don't want this to fall apart. I will do anything.
See, and it kills me because at one time I loved nursing.
And I'm sure you still do. I mean, but
I will always have a special place for it in my heart. It's just medicine has changed so much. You know, I was a nurse for 21 years. Medicine has changed so much in 21 years that it's just not the environment I can work in anymore.
So, and that's fine. People move on. You know, it's not. You don't have to do one thing for your entire life.
Yeah. So I did have my 1-year seller anniversary in July, which was not that long ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So my goal for that very first year was just to get my feet wet, just to kind of get the lay of the land. And now my goal for the second year is just to get down and dirty and like just have a plan and, like you said, be intentional with it.
Yeah.
I like that word, intentional.
I think if you write down some of your goals, start tracking your create a budget. And right now, maybe you're just doing 1 month at a time. Maybe 12 months is a little aggressive.
Okay, so let's do 1 month at a time. I like that idea.
1 month at a time. Why don't you, and maybe September isn't even the right month. Why don't you start with October? This is what I want to do for sales. These are the expenses I know I'm going to have. Plan it out. And then by the end of the month, where did you end up? And see if you can hold yourself to it. And if you weren't able to hold yourself to it, why not? What happened? Was some screaming deal out there that you had to go take advantage of and it made you all the money in the world? Or did you just get lazy and you were like, I don't really care about this, and just start kind of pissing money away? Because that's what happens. So so simple things, little itty bitty things like this will bring you a long way down the road.
Okay. I can do that.
And I'll be around if you need me. You can always reach out and ask.
Help!
How do I do this?
Did you like my very first email I sent you in the title or in the subject? Help.
Yeah, it said like "help me please" or something. You're not. You know what? You're not the first one that ever said that.
I'm sure.
Because I always enjoy waking up at like 4:30 in the morning, and then I'm like, oh, this is going to be an interesting read this morning. I mean, you get the whole life story, and you're like, this is great. I know everything about this person, and I don't even know who they are. I have to talk to them. Now, it's all good. If and this is true for your viewers too. If anyone wants to reach out, I don't know how to share my information on this setup right here.
I did put your YouTube channel in the description.
Okay. So you go to the YouTube channel, that'll eventually lead you to my website or my email address.
Yeah.
And you can just contact me directly.
Yeah, and
I
Jared
think,
is very, very, very easy to talk to, guys.
yeah,
Super easy to talk
yeah.
to.
I'll be happy
Very
to,
responsive.
have a little chat with whoever. And then, hopefully I can help people longer term too. If you have a bigger need, there's not anything I can't really do. So feel free to reach out, ask
Well, why
questions.
don't you tell us what you can do? Which I know it's like
I
a
can do it all,
huge umbrella, but
all of it.
okay, well, let me ask you this question then. What are the top 3 needs that you've seen from resellers? What
That's
are
a
the
good
top
question.
what are the top 3 things people come to you in the middle of the night, they're working, they're stressing about money, they're sending you those emails that say help. What are
Yeah.
the top 3 requests
So I
or
would
top 3
say
ways you can help them?
absolutely the top request is the top concern everyone has is, they're going to get just land blasted with some tax bill at the end of the year and they don't know what to do. Okay. Well, what can I do to help you with that? I say we do tax planning, give me your numbers, let's plug it in, let's see where you're going to land. And I'll tell you, I do a lot of that service. I offer that service year round, but I do a lot of that in the fourth quarter because we have almost the whole year's worth of information. So I can tell you, hey, I think you're going to owe about this much. I think it's worth cutting a check to the feds right now, send your money in, get them paid, or set the money aside. The bill is going to be here in 6 months, so just make sure you have it.
I know,
The
but then
second,
that sale happens and it's so easy to spend it.
I don't, you know what? I would not want to owe
That's
the
why I'm
feds
writing a check
anything.
early. What's
Yeah,
that?
I said I wouldn't want to owe the feds anything, not a dime.
That's why I'm writing my check early.
And it's not your money, at that point, if I told you you owe any amount of money, you're playing with someone else's cash. So you've got to do the right thing. Second thing, sales tax. That's a huge thing in itself. Honestly, at this point, I think Amazon and eBay are kind of coming around to taking care of it for people.
Oh, I
And
hope so.
they've really covered a lot of the territory at this point, and you're 25 to 30 states covered. So
I
I just think it's
think
a
Amazon just started doing is it remittance? Is that the right word?
the
To Ohio?
really.
I saw that on the dashboard.
It's coming out pretty much once a month now, where it's like these are the new states. So I'm
Good.
not
Well, I hope they do
I,
Florida soon.
I'm not checking in on it that often, but there is a link out there. I know you could probably just go to Google and type in like Amazon Marketplace facilitator states, and it'll show you all of the states that they're collecting for. And then there's a handful of states that don't have sales tax, so you don't have to worry about them. But that's one, and I get that less common now, but I still get concerns about it. What do I need to be collecting? What do I need to be worried about? All this stuff, and we talk through it, and that kind of is the answer at this point. Amazon and eBay are starting to take care of this for
Good.
people.
And Poshmark already does. I know Poshmark's obviously not as big, but they actually do remit to each state already.
Who's that? I'm sorry, you cut
Poshmark.
out there.
Sorry
Oh,
about
okay.
that.
Yeah,
Poshmark. They just
good,
started that this year. So that's not
good.
something we have to worry about for that platform, which is nice.
I think, in the matter, let's say 2 years from now, this is going to not be a thing for anybody. I think these guys are just going to take care of it for
Good.
everybody.
I hope so.
Because if they make it a convenience for you, more people sell on their platform, they make more money. So it makes sense for them to do it. Top 3, I guess third thing really would just be, is my accounting right? How do I do this? How do I keep track of all this stuff?
That's where I have a problem.
Yeah. And that's a fair question. That requires a little bit more deeper analysis. How big's your store? How big's your business? What is it you're selling? Tell me how you're doing it now. Let's walk through it. So it just takes a little bit more time, a little bit more understanding of the whole machine. And sometimes it's coaching clients through how it exactly works, and sometimes it's me just understanding what is it that you do. So,
right.
Because not every store is the same, not every seller is the same. But I'd say those are the top 3. email questions that I get. It's a good that's a good YouTube video. I should do that.
The top 3 ways I can help you.
Top 3 questions I get.
Awesome. Well, anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No, I think that's it. It's been great. Appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate
like
you
I said, if
coming
anyone wants to reach out, just go over to my channel. All my information's there. Feel free to reach out.
Fantastic. Great. All right. Anybody else have any more questions? And give it a minute for, not a minute, but a couple seconds for that delay.
You don't want to give it a full 60 seconds.
Do, 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 do.
No, there's a little clock in the corner. We can just watch that.
The little oh, it's more fun to sing the Jeopardy song.
I think the real version's a little bit better. Sorry.
I tried.
We can get the hip hop remix going.
Dun, 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 dun,
the
dun,
SNL version of it.
All right. I don't see any more questions coming in. Well, thank you again, Jared. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Good night,
no problem.
everybody.
Good night.
Oh.